It's time to spark a revolution. This time is for Christ with no pollution. Yeah, we see the world got no solutions. Trying to dim our lights, but we translucent. Plus we be fluent with the rhyme flow, give and go. MCs and DJs, here we go. Producers on the beats that's about to blow. It's the Christ Revolution Music Radio Show.
You are locked in now with a special artist-to-artist interview with B.E.R.I.D.O.X. Don't touch that dial. It's about to get good.
Hey, yo, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Christ Revolution Music Radio Show right here on Holy Culture Radio. We got a brother in the house. He's going to share his story, man. So I'm welcoming to the show Jules, Juda, our brother. And yo, Jules, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's good, Beridox? It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet your audience. It's a pleasure to be here.
Same here, man. We're happy to have you here. Jules, as I was talking before we got started, he was sharing a lot of different things of what he's been called to do and what he's called to do now. So, Jules, we love to hear your story, man. When we start about background, well, let's establish what you used to do as a role and what you do now first. Let's ask that question.
Absolutely. Well, I am a primarily I'm a songwriter.
Okay.
I've been writing since I was in high school. Prior to that, I was a musician. Okay. So I still do both.
Yeah.
And I now stand in front of a group of people called the Juda Camp as Jules Juda. And I started as a musician playing for different people. You know, my background, I grew up in a West Indian church. My parents are West Indian, we're from Grenada. All right. And I went to the Fame School. The Fame School, we call it the Fame School because the TV show Fame was filmed from this school called LaGuardia High School in New York.
Yeah.
And from there, I've just been someone to make my dreams manifest. Hezekiah Walker was my favorite artist. And when I went to school, I started meeting people from his team, from his camp. They brought me around, and I started from the bottom. Yeah. And now I'm one of his premier songwriters and his musical director. I've written many songs that some of you may know. If you listen to gospel music, Faithful is Our God. Wow. Calling My Name.
Yeah, that's dope.
God Favors Me. Great Expectations by J.J. Harrison. God Made Me Who I Am, Mississippi Mass.
That's a lot.
Come Home. The list goes on and on. I've been writing songs, and I got some in the pipe now that's gonna make some change. But that's my thing. I want to be able to impact the world with what I do. So,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, that's the background.
Songwriter, musician, and now what you do. So let's go backwards first, because you don't just step into songwriting, you don't just step into musicianship. Like, where did those elements show in the early years for you? What was your upbringing that brought you into songwriting and musician? What instruments were you playing? How was that playing out when you was young?
My father's a brilliant songwriter. He's also a brilliant speaker. And he's just he plays the guitar. Okay. And, for me, my approach is like his because it's mental. It's more mental than it is performative. Okay. So I'm going to do something that is going to touch the soul more so than fancy the ears, so to speak. And I discovered that from a young age when I wrote Calling My Name, and I seen the kind of checks that came with it. Prior to that, I was on the jazzy tip and just doing stuff that, give you the oohs and ahs. But then when I see
young
that,
musicians.
you know, when I seen what the simplicity does, you know, which is something that my dad taught me.
Yeah.
So, you know, from the age of 2, I was playing drums.
Wow.
Everybody plays drums when they start.
That's the first, right?
Yeah. And then you know, every instrument I said that I wanted to venture into, my father bought it for me, you know. So I played the bass, I played the guitar. And through that, I've learned in high school stringed instruments like the cello and the double bass and the violin and viola. I'm terrible on those, but at least
you went through it.
Yeah, I know the concept. And you know, overall, it's about 26 instruments. And I've been in love with music all my life. You know.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So, how young were you when you wrote "Calling My Name"? What
16.
age were you then? 16. What's the significance of how did that come to you at that age? Like, what was the Lord taking you through? Because it's such a pivotal moment, right? When you hear God calls your name. So how did that play out?
So I wrote it at 16 and sat on it for some years because it wasn't a big deal to me.
Yeah.
To me, it was like a simple song. And I wanted to kind of give people the complex version. But when I played that for Bishop Walker, he was Pastor Hez at the time.
Yeah.
He was like, nah, and I had a little drive complex part at the end of it. He was like, nah, let's just make it simple. Let's make it
simple.
Church. And what made me write that song was the fact that I was a 16-year-old doing what 16-year-olds do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And still found myself. One thing about me is I don't know how to go to church and play a role.
Gotcha.
So if I'm in the midst of the Father and I tell him, Lord, I love you.
Yeah.
Immediately my mind, as a young man, my mind is going to go back to what I did last week, last night, last year, you know, and when I'm constantly in his presence and still have to deal with the consequence of being a contradiction, but yet I still hear you calling my name, immediately that's what I wrote, you know, that's how I felt and that's what I meant.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the gist. And I was, you know, I have friends. I'm from New York.
Okay.
I have friends, and we've all been in places where we should have died.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been in predicaments where God shouldn't have been showing us this type of mercy.
Yeah.
So I was grateful for that, and I wrote that. Most of the time, it's not really me writing.
Okay.
I don't ever see my writing as my gift. Usually, you know, it's literally an expression that's lent for the people.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just a vessel.
Yeah.
But as the vessel, I'm grateful. I'm gracious, and you know, that song was a song really of gratitude that I'm still here and still able to be who I am. And I've been writing repentant songs. In that season, I was writing them.
It was coming to you. Yeah. Yep. That makes sense.
There was one less popular, but everyone loves it. It's called Come Home. Same. You know, people started asking me. And Timothy Figueroa was a vocalist on both songs. Everybody started asking me, like, what's wrong? What's wrong with you guys?
He said, why are you only writing this?
Yeah.
He said that was the lane the Lord had you in until you're able to shift into more revelation. And I don't think a lot of times people understand that as a songwriter, you got to live life and open yourself up to God. And then the words come and the messaging comes. So they may not have understand that at that time when you wrote it, that's what you were seeing. That's what you were receiving. So for you, it's easier to understand because you're crafting it and you remember and recall everything that's going on at that time period.
Absolutely.
But for the outside, they're blessed by the song because of the messaging, but they may not, like you said, understand, wait a minute, why is this like this? And it's like, just let me keep growing,
Absolutely.
So you said you went to the famous school of Fame.
The Fame.
Because Fame was popular when we was growing up. It was so super popular. So when you were going there, was the show already running?
The show was over. But
it was over at that time, but it still had that name.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If you're not from New York, that's what people associated with mostly, is the fact that it's
the TV show.
Cool.
Yeah.
So they moved from that campus to a better facility.
Yeah.
And it literally was a school with people in leotards walking around, dancers and actors, and the Wayans brother went to my school. Omar Epps went to my school.
Yeah.
Bokeem Woodbine went to
everybody.
My school. Yeah, these are all people that we've seen every day.
We see on TV.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it was that type of place, me and Timothy went there, and we ran the gospel choir, and
that's dope.
It was that type of place, and great memories there.
So when you think about it, do you think it desensitized you to, quote unquote, the celebrity, the fame of things? Because for you, it was an everyday experience when you see all these different classmates or people that went there and what they go on to become. For you, it didn't seem that like out of reach.
I am definitely desensitized for sure.
Yeah.
There are a couple still I'll still do a little somersault for, but I'm definitely desensitized, but mostly that's from the Hezekiah Walker experience.
Yeah.
You know, from maybe 18, we were at the Grammys.
Wow.
Singing behind CeCe Winans, Whitney Houston, and Shirley Caesar.
Yeah.
I was like 18, 19 years old when we did that.
Wow.
We sang behind, we shared the stage with Mariah Carey, and just about everybody who's somebody we done did something with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Bishop Walker, Hez at the time was very adamant about, I don't go out there acting like no fool, no groupies.
Yeah, you got to represent. Yeah, you can't be going crazy.
He would put you in check immediately.
That's good.
So I've been desensitized all my life. I haven't. I remember before all of this, I seen Mike Tyson in a convertible. I jumped off the bus, flagged the convertible down, and got an autograph in pencil.
That's something else.
I was a groupie at heart, but once I started this music thing for real, they got shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing
about it, you mess with your money too.
Yeah,
you mess with your money. You show them that you're a groupie now. It's like, okay,
you're gonna try to pull a fast one because they all got these tricks going on, and you're like, wait a second, I want to be a part. I want to be down, but I don't want to be poor. So, so when you look at that, the interesting part about growing up in New York, because I grew up in Philly, so Philly always looked up to New York, and New York has or had in that time period most of the access. If it was New York, it was LA, but most of the access to the stuff that goes on on productions and get across the TV screen comes across our stereos and radios. So with that element growing up there, do you feel like you had an advantage because you was put right in the melting pot of where everything is bubbling and creating and creativity and artistry, like to that effect when you growing up, going to the Fame school? How did that feel in all of those elements?
I would like to say no to even the playing field, but that'd be a lie. It's definitely an advantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when I was with Hez, he would get on the train. So people will see Hezekiah Walker on the train, like,
Yeah.
and and you can run into anybody, anywhere,
Yeah.
in any capacity.
Yeah.
And if anyone is coming to town, they're looking for who's the best at this. You know what I mean?
Correct.
There was a time when I played for everybody, especially in gospel.
Okay.
You know, if Kirk was on stage and he needed somebody, he'd give me the nod, and I'm right there.
Yeah.
You know, especially I done played for everybody from I can name
you can run the whole list.
It don't even matter to me. It don't even matter if you name them.
Yeah, more than likely.
I touch the stage with them.
Yeah,
and that's just part of the game. Living in New York, you know, everything comes through New York.
Yeah,
you know. But right now, it's about Philly.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that Philly DMV area. As far as you know, who's working, the musicians that are working.
Yeah,
that's the area.
Okay.
Even more so than here.
Wow.
Now I reside in LA.
Okay.
So of course LA is going to be LA, but LA is a place of imports.
Hmm.
You know, the true LA people, they don't even go to the award shows. They don't even pop up for that stuff. Like,
so that's all out of towners coming in to celebrate and do things. Yeah.
You know, out of towners are crazy in LA
because everyone here to dream, go to LA, you know, drop everything, go to LA.
Yeah, you got to
people believe that.
You got to make them know what you're capable of doing, and you got to show and prove. And there's so many people showing and proving out there in LA. That's all it is. You get a lot of cat from that, but you know.
So let's talk about that transition of, because you just introduced something geographically moving around. How many places have you laid your head as far as living in? Because you said LA now, and you started out in New York. Was that Brooklyn? I think I read in your bio.
Yeah. So I still have New York is my home base.
Okay.
What happened was during COVID, I was on tour with Lauryn Hill.
Okay.
And we had a stop in LA. It never happened because COVID went crazy.
Yeah, shut everything down.
Sitting in my hotel room looking at the television and seeing Brooklyn putting people in body bags in a truck because the hospital was over capacity.
Yeah.
And me having asthma and a couple dollars in the bank, I said, guess where I live now?
Yeah.
And I stayed in LA for 3 years.
Wow.
You know? And I come back home for Bishop Walker. I come back home for Miss Hill. I come back home for Juda camp. You know, and if I got to do something at a church.
Yeah.
So I'm back and forth, you know. Yeah. But I've always been pretty much an East Coast guy. It was just the COVID that made me, you know. But I love it.
Relocate. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
That's good. You got me all over the place with just questions. So as far as musician, so what is your primary instruments that you play now? Focus, because you said, you know, you had the range, but now I'm sure you probably settling into certain ones as the frequent ones.
Keys. For everything starts with keys. You know? Yeah. Keys and organ, I guess. With Miss Hill, I'm basically on organ. Okay.
Now, is it one of those fancy organs? What's the most common one that everyone talks about?
The Hammond B3.
Yeah.
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 Nothing else is
nothing else is suitable.
It's funny because when we go to places like the Middle East and certain countries, like they're not big on Hammonds. So
yeah.
They always call me like, well, you know, what's going to be the alternative? I'm like,
there's no alternative.
Dancing, you got a ballerina suit for me? I'm not playing nothing else but a hat.
Yeah, no bagpipes. So that's cool. So keys and organ. And so going back to early stages, because we'll get to the commitment to Christ part. I'm just working it up to it. And because you have so much history, it's just easy to bounce around. For producing, because you got into the songwriting, so how did you get into the producer mold? Or, did it come along? Were you creating demo tapes with your production, with the singing on top to present to people and say, this is a song I wrote? Would you like to hear it? Was it like that, or?
Well, the thing is, so when I wrote Calling My Name, a song called On Time was out.
Okay.
I have my homies that I grew up with.
Yeah.
One particular, his name is Greg Evers. He's a pastor now.
Okay.
So maybe he may have been 5 years older than me.
Okay.
But certain people walk in a favor.
Yeah.
And he's till this day he's still financially ambitious. One day he called me. He said, "Hey, most expensive hamburger I ever ate. Across the street from Sotheby's. I shouldn't have ordered a hamburger. I didn't know no better." But
that's what you're familiar with. So
that's what I'm familiar with.
Yeah, on the menu.
And he said, "Listen, I'm gonna put you in the studio." And he said, "Let's just see what happens."
Yeah.
And back then,
studio prices. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it wasn't like Pro Tools. It was like
reel to reel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were doing D88s.
Okay.
Because reel to reel, that's when they would charge you one fee for reel to reel and one fee for D88s.
Okay.
So we do D88s, and when we commit to it, then we throw it onto the 2-inch.
Gotcha.
And I just had a bunch of homies that really did it.
Yeah.
So I was hiring people to program the MPC and all that.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, I learned how to do it. I mean, even my demos, I can't even listen to those things.
Yeah.
Because my production journey was a longer journey.
But it was necessary, that, because of the mechanics of going through and having results that you wasn't satisfied with. When you get more experience, you're able to get to it quicker, so you can jump over those hurdles. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So you was pulling out the MP. So this is more interesting to me now because of the gift of musicianship. 9 times out of 10, I see more people staying in the lane of the keyboards and the electronics, not going into drum programming as much because they would just get a real session drummer. But when you programming stuff, and I bet you it's probably because you're from New York, you understood what hip hop was doing and the importance of so you got into it. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, if you listen to Revival, if you listen to these songs that I got, ain't nothing about no session drummer.
Yeah,
about that, you know what I mean. Yeah. And even now, I kind of, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I kind of have a disdain towards the way these cats are playing drums on records, especially in the gospel world, because it has so much personality that it takes away from the composition to me.
So you don't want it distracting from the song.
No, I like R. Kelly. Okay. I like and don't chop that up and just put that part.
You got to put it out there. You said take this full clip.
I like R. Kelly. I like R. Kelly. No, I like Babyface. I like R. Kelly. I like the simple,
simple drums.
I love, Kirk Franklin's production. I love Anthony Brown's production. I like Greg Fillingane's. I like simplicity that accompanies the music, accompanies the song. Yeah. So sometimes you get an experienced drummer and they just do the most.
Yeah, because they have all the gifts and not necessarily toning down. Yeah.
But I like to throw, in this revival remix, there's a live drummer, but
Okay.
he's
Stay in
just
the pocket.
playing. Yeah, not even pocket. It's just
Okay.
little.
Simple.
Yeah, just little takes. Bring me in at the end of 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it got a little Afro beats to it, so you
Yeah.
give me a little tom.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
The original and the remix, they both sound good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So with that, did you even dream about these things, or did you just grow into them? Like, because some people will imagine when they're young, I want to be this when I grow up. Like for me, I didn't necessarily, when I first started listening to music, well, it's easy for me because hip hop wasn't foreign form, but I didn't think about being a rapper or producer or anything. I was just listening to music. Did you have any idea that you'll be involved in music?
Always.
Always, you just
From
felt
the
it.
age of 2, I was playing, but I wanted to be a musician.
Okay.
When I got my first royalty check,
Mm-hmm.
I stopped wanting to be a musician
Mm.
because I realized that
It's a business now.
it's night and day, brother.
There's one thing playing in the church and having fun, but it's another thing trying to get
it
percentages.
is night and day. I hung it
That
up.
makes sense.
You know what I mean? People, I have a gift. You know what I mean? I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to ever negate it. I'm grateful for that gift. And
Yeah.
the thing about me is I play for the heart. I play to the heart.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So I don't really engage in musical acrobatics like that.
Amen.
But
Amen.
Yeah, for me it's just, accompanying what I feel, even as unapologetically, I'm just a creative, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I remember I got hired by Mariah Carey to just simply recreate her backgrounds,
Okay.
and just put a choir together. And she wasn't there. Nobody was there. And I took it upon myself to just rearrange the song because I'm automatically a creative.
Gotcha.
So if you hire me to play like the top 40s and play this part, and like I would tell you, you should just hire somebody that does that.
Yeah.
Because you're wasting, you know what I mean? It's like purchasing a Rolls Royce to listen to the radio.
You said these two are not the same.
What's the point? Just to buy a radio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why did you buy a Rolls Royce to listen to the radio? Just buy a radio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
That's the thing with me. I love sitting in the creative seat. And I believe I have something different to offer.
Yeah.
Something unique, something that's not being done. We're lost in a culture of let's all do this.
Yeah.
Be doing there used to be a Philly sound. There used to be a DC sound.
Yeah.
And there used to be a New York sound.
Yeah.
Not everybody sound the same.
Well, we can thank our internet for most of it because the timetable it takes for sound to travel now is reduced. Like you used to have to wait for a group to come to your city to hear their sound live and see the experience. Now, this translates so fast. So,
they're giving you everything. They're giving you the process on how they.
Yeah.
So everybody just sounds the same. Everything
it can happen.
Everybody just doing the same thing. You know. So.
Comes with the territory. Come with the territory. But then there are those who push against the grain to say, regardless of what everyone else is doing, I got to stick to what I'm gifted to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. And whether it has the biggest audience or not doesn't matter because you're true to who you were created to be and true to using your gifts in that fashion. So I think that's the plus and the benefit that you have individuals who, regardless of whatever's being offered, is going to be themselves. And those are the ones that stand out to those who look for authenticity or originality versus just the carbon copy of what everyone does is a Xerox. Everyone's not Xerox. Some people are doing exactly what they were put here to do. So
Absolutely.
that's the benefits. So thinking back also, did you have any person, I think you pointed out a few in production, but you can also add them to songwriting. Who were you looking at for songwriting and admiring from afar the creation of their songwriting or writing ability?
So let's take Revival, right? Revival has some. Let me see who I'm gonna give first. It got some Love Fellowship, some heads bopping in
All right.
as far as attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Then it has some Donna Lawrence as far as the choir accentuating the dynamics.
Yeah.
But then the beat goes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It gives you a little James Brown.
Yeah.
Gives you a little Afro beat.
Yeah.
It gives you a little like a Travis Scott vibe when Molly start doing his thing, and then it gets into the little house situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm gonna stop explaining it because it sounds like it's too much. But
When you listen to it, it feels different.
yeah. So, and that's really a representation of who I am.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my list if I gave you my list, there's definitely Merv Warren.
Okay.
There's definitely Tony. Love. And it's not everything Tony.
Certain songs.
It's particular, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Chucky Booker, particular.
Okay.
And then there's some people that disappeared on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian Alexander Morgan and Brian Alexander Morgan just used to do it for me every time. But then I don't know. I don't know what they do. They may be doing movies or something.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Not Brian Alexander. But yeah, Brian Alexander Morgan did it for me. But Kenneth Crouch.
Wow.
Yeah, Kenneth Crouch and the other one is Kenneth Crouch and he has a brother. Anyway, but
we gotta Google
the brothers,
that.
yeah, the Crouch brothers. They did, Brandy. You know what I mean? I'm a big Brandy fan.
Okay.
So and from the church side, Edwin Hawkins.
Yeah.
His pen is second to none.
Yeah.
V. Michael McKay. Out of Brooklyn, there's a guy named Melvin Crispell. So those are some of the major influence. And then how to manage and maneuver through music, Hezekiah Walker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
survived the test of time, man. He transcended a lot of generations. So yeah, I agree with you.
So he taught me how to exude your existence in your surrounding. So everything is so simple with him. Won't he make you clean? It's so simple that when you take it outside of us, musicians try to be like, man, we're going to make hairs. And they take it somewhere like the foot do too much.
It says no longer has.
It's no longer has no more. It's this masterpiece of music.
Yeah.
But don't play that around him.
Yeah.
He's gonna smile like.
But that's not his lane.
He's gonna call me on the phone like, man, you have to hear these guys. It was just wrong.
Yeah.
That's his thing. You know what I mean? He's like. And when I do the band, when I do his band, I have a concept called Meow Cats.
Wow.
And basically, when they try to bring innovation that's too far, I'm like, yo, just imagine that you're playing for a Broadway musical. The song is the song. It is what it is.
Yeah, it doesn't change. Yeah.
When you change it up, I just go, meow.
You said going too far.
Let's come back to cats.
Yeah.
Let's just play the score.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, and we're on a tour now with Bishop Marvin Sapp. I have to remember if he's a bishop or not. Bishop Marvin Sapp and Pastor McClurkin. And the band is not Hez's band.
Okay.
So it's
a lot of musicianship going on, and
yeah. When I walked in, it was just like, that's it, but it's not it.
Yeah.
And you see when Lacey and Phil see me, they're gonna say, "Man, you taught us a lot about that hump." Because while they're playing what they're playing, I just started going. It's like there is a subbeat playing under our feel that you gotta meet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is the one and it is the two, but there is a feel, there's a backbeat
attached to it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's so unique. I say the two people that everybody can't just plug up and play for are Hezekiah Walker and Ty Tribbett.
Wow.
I don't like to hear nobody play for Ty Tribbett. That ain't Ty Tribbett's.
You said it got to be a part of what the original, yeah,
because it's such a vibe.
Yeah.
It's like they was, you know, it's like Ty and Spanky were born together.
Yeah. That's good.
It's, you know what I mean?
Good.
It's just like, to hear anybody else is just like,
it can get done, but it's not necessarily maybe the best representation or the highest height it could go to because it's changing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you have musicians that would.
Yeah, they can cook.
They'll give it to you.
A lot of people can cook out there.
Yeah.
That's why I find music so vast when you really think about it, because what really makes a song stick to you? You know, is it the lyrics? Is it the music? Is it both together? Is it just something that's in you that connects with it, that it was meant to happen? Like, there's so many things going on at the same time.
Is that rhetorical, or you want to answer?
I would love to have you step into it, because you know a little bit more than me, so I'll take it from the experience.
I do have a theory. I believe that, well, I've been taught that we are triune beings. So we're spirit, we're soul, and we're body. Your body is world conscious. Your spirit is God conscious. And your soul is self-conscious. So it's about what you are applying yourself, how you're showing up, and how is it resonating to the person that's receiving. Right now, CeCe Winans get up in front of anybody and sing, "All my life you have been faithful." It don't feel like, nobody can feel like that, because her spirit is just aligned with the mastery of that song, and it just comes together and it hits you. I mean, and I've seen her sing that simple song after people
tear it up,
rolled on the, I mean, just circuits, I mean, everything.
The roof went off and came back down.
And then he went off, came back, he ran outside and came from the back of the church. And she gets up and sing that song flat-footed, no riff, no run, no nothing. You know, because it's an authentic presentation of the spirit meeting the right amount of the body and the right amount of emotion that translates as real. Same thing with Miss Lauryn Hill. Whoever she is, whatever combination of that is, when she opens her mouth and say, "It can all be so simple," I've seen people sing that song way better than her in their mind. But the translation of that, the authenticity of that, can't be matched.
Wow. That's something else.
Can't be matched.
That's something else to really look at, because I think growing up in church, we understand the word, the anointing, right? And when we look at it, when it applies to gifts, it it transcends a lot of our understanding. And I know you understand it because you've seen it happen. Like there's a song that could just be so simple and basic, but once the anointing is applied to it, it then connects with people. It's transformational, it's deliverance, it's healing. Like all of those supernatural things start showing up. How does that feel as a musician when you are playing a song and then you saying you're going through the mechanics, but you see the anointing shows up and it transcends again what was the natural or the basics into supernatural experience?
In all humility, that's predominantly my functionality.
Gotcha.
I'm not always in position to be able to operate like that.
Understood. Because the Holy Ghost does what he wants to do behind the scenes, and
because church and service right now is kind of, everybody just kind of wants the same thing.
And they got a clock going on. They looking at the watch, and it's like,
well, not only about the clock and the watch, but too, because even if you're in a 5-hour service,
you can't hit it sometimes. I got you.
I believe that the enemy has allowed us to minimize what we think God wants.
Yeah.
So when it's time to dance, it's always this in a certain type of church.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's the same song. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily indicative of a conversation.
Yeah, what God wants.
Which is what I have.
Gotcha.
So, I remember there was a season when Prophetess Juanita Bynum, I wouldn't say the number, but she paid me more than any gig that I had at that time.
Amen.
I mean, as a young man in my early 20s, 4 figures every week to go play with her 3 times. I mean, 4 big figures. I was living like a drug dealer. You know what I'm saying? I was living like a hustler. They were coming to me in the barbershop like, yo, man, how can I be down? How can I work for you? What I had parked outside and what I had on my back looked like drug dealer money. And I was doing nothing but playing
for God
strings for Juanita Bynum to prophesy on top of the angels.
Amen.
And I was able to communicate with heaven and provide the soundtrack. And as a minstrel and a prophet, that is very important that it sounds a certain kind of way. And it was the thing to do. So for me, it is my place. It is my place. It's Jonathan Nelson re-recorded one of my songs entitled "It's Not Enough." This song paralyzes churches every time it's sung.
Wow.
It's my zone. Very rare do I go into this zone, but it's a frequency that I've been, the Lord has used through me. It's my favorite place. My absolute favorite place.
And that's important to point out too when we look at the state of where music is now and how over-processed it is or made meaningless to a certain extent when you look at the accessibility and the duplication of it. It kind of try to diminish how powerful it was when we were growing up, because you didn't have a whole bunch of people doing it. You only had a handful that can record and get on the record. You had a handful of people that can get to a cassette or a 45 or a 33. Like now with everyone got our own studios, like everybody's out there. That's why now I say I can't act like I know everyone who released some music. It's impossible. It's impossible. So
absolutely.
So now when you look at it from that standpoint, we can understand why maybe music isn't valued like it used to be, because to so many it's just a background noise. But we grew up in the elements of its importance and what it can do, and how even to this day, like some of the best songs that come to my mind is from the 80s. The 80s chords, the 80s bass line, the 80s drums. It sound real cheesy, but for us who grew up around that time, it was like so important. And what can we do moving forward to reintroduce the importance of music, and done in such a fashion, you know what I mean, that it gets those connections going again? It's a lot.
My strong suite is not cultural innovation. I wish I had that. Kanye has that.
I understand, because the people can get in the room with a whole bunch of creatives and create something that just everyone loves, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah. See, the thing is, I thought it was going to be crypto. I thought it was going to be NFT.
It came and gone.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because what needs to happen is we need to separate the wheat from the tear. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We need to put aside the Kendricks and the J. Coles. They don't really need to be with the other goofies. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a different type of component there. You know, when we were coming up, there was a difference between, you know, Tony as a band and Mint Condition as a band versus a bunch of goofies trying to play music. It's like, nah, you see what's going on, and this is where we're going to invest into. But now it's just like, you know, number one and number two don't even match.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and it's all about how much money is behind them to push them and make them
it's marketing.
Like, so, like, you believe they're the best because.
And then you don't even have to do music no more. It's like, you know, I got so tired. I would mention these. Got so tired of looking at Blueface and Bluetooth drama on social media. It's like, I don't want to praise the fact that he got arrested, but I'm
slow the media down. Slow it down for a minute.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, y'all don't even have no songs that we play, and y'all are just all over social media, tattoos and babies and guns and cars and drama, and it's like, remember when MTV used to have M?
Yeah, it used to have music.
You know what I mean? It's
times have changed.
There's no M in MTV no more.
Yeah, times have definitely changed. But that's where the importance is, I would say, for those God calls to the forefront and place in different positions to do music and to minister and to pour into other people, that as long as we are completing the task and the assignment given to us by God, it's going to cause a change to happen. Now, whether we'll see it in this time period or those in the following generations, it can happen. As long as people are tapping into God. So for that question, where I just ended on, when was that period for you that you was like, I understand the call, Father, I'm ready to answer it. I'm ready to put everything in that Jesus has committed to me by giving his life for me. So because you were saying that 16 was the writing of calling my name, you know, what was the transition period at that time? Was that the line in the sand you drawn to say, from this point forward, Father, I'm chasing after you?
So I think what we have to understand as culture creators is that we have to give people back their individuality. And the reason why I say that is because it doesn't work like that for me. You know what I'm saying? Like calling my name. I remember going to pick up a girl from her church so we could be nasty. And her choir was in rehearsal. And I sat in the back of her church. And this was after I wrote Calling My Name. And her pastor got up in front of the church and said, the song Calling My Name, I know the person that wrote that song had to be going through something. And that song just ministers to me and it changed my life. And the girls turned around and looked at me like, because we was definitely on some other type of time. You know what I mean? And the thing is, this has been, I've always been in church. So to say that there was a line drawn in the sand, it was that line, I was drawing that line with my fist. You know what I mean? So we can't necessarily say that it was one pivotal moment.
Correct.
This has been a walk.
Correct.
This has been a walk. And every time I commence to walking, I've gotten closer and closer, and I've gotten pushed back. And I've gotten closer and closer, and I've got pushed back. That's how it has gone for me. You know what I mean? So I can't really tell you, you know, I know that I'm closer today than I was yesterday.
Hey, man, every day if you pushing towards you pushing closer to God, that's huge. Because it allows another opportunity, another experience for him to pour into you. And that's one thing I value, just learning as you get older in the Lord. You got to have a conversation with him every day. Because like you said, the outside elements want to pull us this way. The media wants to put this in your head this way. You know what I mean? It's like we have overstimulation of information now more than we ever had. The cell phone that is at times accessible to all of the functions we need to operate in life, but then it also opens portals to other stuff that we don't need to be around. So it's just a balancing of all of those things. So I love the humility that God is allowing you to share, that you're not going to say you got it all wrapped up and you push every day to get into his presence. So that can be a testament for all of us. For all of us. So what are you doing presently, man? Because we uncovered the history of the background, the music, the creation, songwriting, production. We know it's leading you to today.
So I'm working on the soul of Jules Juda.
All right.
And the soul is the expressor.
Okay.
The one that speaks, the one that expresses, the one that reaches out.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with content. It has a lot to do with, you know, just putting myself out there and you know, dealing with, you know, the emotions of the work that I'm putting out. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm starting a couple series that I'm going to be, you know, purposing on social media to support this great music. You know what I mean? And in order to do that, you know, you have to do other things outside of the music. I come from the place where once the music was good, you was winning. You know what I mean?
Not now.
And that's not.
You got to do.
And I had to come. It took me a while to come to grips with that. You know
of course. You grew up in the days when the record label was doing the record label functions. You had a whole team to help push, and y'all just tour and do God's work. And now it's like
there got to be a story. It's everything is a reality show.
It turned into. It's a good thing when you look at it from the perspective of people being able to see what does it mean to serve God and how the battles, like I'm not different than anyone else. I could struggle if I allow myself to struggle, but thank God that he helps me. Thank God that he helps renew my mind when I open up the word. He directs us. You know what I mean? The benefits of it. I think that's added more opportunity and impact to people. So now, like you said, we don't have just the negative connotations of what goes on in life. You have something else that can be a positive reflection.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man. So the latest release you remixed was Revival. You had some
Yes.
great sounds in there. Talk about how was the creation of the remix of that part.
Well, what made me do it? What made me do it was the fact that the industry was being the industry. So when it first came out, it was so unique that people didn't catch on.
Gotcha.
And when they started to catch
Yeah.
on, and we was number 5 on Billboard, the people that caught on when we first started were like, we've been playing this song too long. So for me, it's like, this message is not finished
That's
singing.
right.
So I had to just reinvent it in a certain kind of way. But I remix in my mind. Like if you ever see me live, everything is going to be different anyway.
That's good.
Just because we make it liveable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it's for a recording air, but then performing is a different story.
Correct.
So, and I just really wanted to work with Mali Music,
Good.
Yeah. So I called him on this one. And Tasha, I don't know if I'm gonna ever work with any other singer besides Tasha Page Locker. I promise you, like she's just.
Y'all know each other, so from the mind is.
I mean, she's amazing. She's amazing.
Amen.
I'm joking, but she's one of my favorite. Anisha Figueroa is another one of my favorites.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And her sister, of course, her sister Tim.
Yeah.
But we've been. She's just been smashing it for me. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful for it. For this remix is nuts.
Yeah. It's like I said, it sounds good. It thumps. It covers, like you said, a span of different styles. It's like, I'm telling you, your New York bias is showing up in your tracks and your production because you got all those elements you grew up around. So you was able to
absolutely
pull things in and switch it up. What are you looking forward to in the future outside of the marketing plan and the strategy of the storylines and stuff? Are you working on a full album?
Yeah, the full album is pretty much done. I have songs with, I'm like a combination between DJ Khaled, Kirk Franklin, and John Batiste.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'm playing, I'm bringing in collaborators. I have songs with Donnie McClurkin and Anisha Figueroa. I got Israel probably on this next single. The full album is gonna be crazy, but
You gotta
I'm building.
take it one day at a time to plan it out.
Yeah, I gotta build.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When I did the song with Israel, I just didn't have enough. I didn't have enough real estate in the marketplace to put out a song with Israel Houghton, and I'm not trying to put that out and it just goes on deaf ears. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's about spending some time and building the brand, building the story and the legacy. Doing the professional stuff.
Absolutely. That's some of the keys that I think a lot of folks don't pay attention to, but it's interesting sometimes because I try to keep my ear to the culture and what way music is coming out now. And someone pointed out something on one of the podcasts I laughed at, but I said, oh my God, that is true. Like some of the quote unquote ratchet music that people are coming out with today, these artists won't be legacy acts in the future because that content isn't something that a very mature individual would say would only be those who want that style. So it could reduce your longevity of being a legacy act.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that I guess a lot of folks don't think about when they just throw anything just to sell. And it's like that timeless music conversation is something that a lot of people probably are going to have to start going back to figure out how can this transcend time, multiple generations enjoy it. So That's where we are, and that's what I like what you said. You pointed out you're not just throwing it out just to throw it out. You need it to accomplish the goal that it's supposed to and minister to the people that it's supposed to. So why rush it? Why rush it? Where can people find you online if they want to search you out and follow you and all that good stuff?
Everything is Jules Juda. Jules Juda.
Yeah.
And that's on all platforms.
Yeah.
And then Jules Bartholomew and Juda Camp on Facebook.
That's what's up. You want to touch on Juda Camp before we get out of here? What's the uniqueness of Juda Camp?
So when we first started, that's what we were called, the Juda Camp. What happened was people were starting to grab a hold of individuals in the Juda Camp. And when those individuals were no longer there, then it didn't feel like Juda Camp anymore. So with that being the case, and also the industry changing from the choir thing, I had to rebrand myself as Jules Juda. But anybody, whatever I show up with, that's the Juda Camp that would be there. But under the brand Juda Camp, we released a single called Living God years ago when MegaFest first started. We went to MegaFest with no invitation or nothing. We just went with about, 400 CDs and came back with nothing.
That's a blessing.
We came back with like $6,000. People were just seeing. They were singing in the streets. We were singing in the exhibition hall, and then TD Jake's kids heard us in the exhibition hall and invited us to the youth service. It was crazy, but that's the kind of, we were some real New York hustlers. We went to Atlanta and did the darn thing, you know. But Juda Camp has some history that's rich. You know, we did Bobby Jones. You know, we did some things that really, you know, got us out there. You know, I had some individuals in the group that were big Ty Tribbett fans. So they emulated a lot of his antics, which I had a problem with because my music was not Ty Tribbett music. You know what I mean? But it was in that vein. When GA was out, we were out.
That's good stuff. He's dropping history and jewels on us, and you know all of this can be searched out online. That's the thing about Google now. Go back and read the history and the YouTube footage. So I'm sure there's tons and tons out there. So we like to thank Jules for being in the building, sharing his time with us, man. Prayerfully, all of y'all out there be able to go and support, add his music to the playlist, because that's the latest way, you know what I mean, for things to travel. Playlists. So definitely, man. We appreciate you, Jules, for being in the house with us, man.
Appreciate you too, sir. Thank you so much for this time.
Man. All right, y'all, we signing off. Christ Revolution Music Radio Show. Peace.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CRM Radio Show or Beridox 215. You can also follow us on Facebook at Christ Revolution Music. Stay tapped in.